listening to CaveRadioBroadcasting.com. The words and opinions you are about to hear are of the hosts and do not reflect the management of CaveRadioBroadcasting.com.
Good afternoon and welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole. Today is Thursday. What Thursday is it? It's Thursday. I should know this. It's Thursday, April 19th, year of our Lord 2018. You were listening to a Gen Pop Media production. First of all, I'd like to say, hey, man, it's not down the rabbit hole. It's not down the conventional hole. It is down the rabbit hole. As always, don't trust any one person so that you don't carry someone else's mistake with you, including ours. Do your own research. Please don't take anything we say as gospel unless, well, of course, we are quoting the gospel. Because there are no more secrets, man. Just ignorance. So happy Thursday, guys. We had a couple weeks off. We're in here. We're going to play the quote game, high-stakes quote game, with a $10 bill representing a $50 bill.
Yeah, which is kind of like how money actually is. So we're
exactly. Davis turned into the treasury. Yeah.
Is this microphone even on?
Yeah, it is on.
You sure about that?
Yep.
Yeah, actually it is. I think the headphones are just low.
No, those are definitely blasting. Whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I can't hear his. I'm not hearing his.
Yeah, now I can hear Tony. I don't think my mic's on.
No, I'm
mic
getting
4.
I'm getting you. Yeah, it sounds like you're a little low. And it sounds like
How about now? That feels better. Okay. All right, should we just jump into this thing?
One thing.
Yeah,
first.
let's
sure.
Go ahead.
Happy birthday to my daughter Lily.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
How old is she?
14.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jay. A little young still. Give it
Yeah.
2 years.
I didn't.
I
That's
can
fine.
read your mind.
But my
She could have
oldest
been
daughter-
13. He doesn't.
My oldest daughter's 22.
No,
so
that's
there's
still,
no difference
That's still a
between
little weird
13
for
and
me.
14.
Is
They're
it?
all the same to you. Is
Yeah.
that what you're
All right.
saying?
Yeah. What does that
Sinner.
mean?
All right. That's a shame. But anyway.
Sure. Are we ready?
We're ready.
Howard, you look perplexed.
Yeah, I'm just getting weird levels. So I'm just trying to balance it out. We'll see how bad it sounds on the podcast, right?
All right, do you think you guys are going to be able to focus on this one?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is anyone not going next door for a cocktail after this show?
Me.
Not me.
Who?
I
Are you
gotta
going
let
next door, though, to not have a cocktail?
No, I got to let my dog out. I've been gone all day.
Oh,
I don't feel
okay.
like picking up poop.
That's
All right.
fine.
Oh, yeah. Landmines.
Well, I am definitely having a cocktail today.
Me too.
So.
It's been a while.
Probably 3.
All right, let's jump into this. A point per right answer. I will start with rotating who goes first. We'll start with Tony. Round 1. Jay, I need you to be on point with the scoring.
I mean, I got you. Are we going to, just so I know?
I'm just going to confirm the score after each round, just to make sure
Okay.
who got the point.
Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
Something will come up.
Well, Kat's not here, so there'll be no cheating.
Right.
So-
and
so-
Howard does not get a half a point because he almost said that answer.
Hey,
first time.
I am not Kat, okay?
But he's earned those half points.
Is there going to be like a bonus round I need to be made aware of or anything?
No, but you're playing too, so I hope you're
All right, I'm on here. I'm on here.
Okay, here's the first one. Are we ready?
Ready.
Let's
Yeah,
just get
let's
this
do
rolling.
it. Make it happen.
It's coming out of the 401 quote book, which is due out in February of 2016. We're running a little bit late.
Just a
No,
tad
just
behind.
kidding. The book is real, and it really is going to get done
I've seen it.
soon. Trust us.
I've held it in my
Well, it's
hands.
real in a digital way.
Here's
as
the
real
quote.
as anything digital can be.
Are we ready?
Ready.
Yes.
The quote is, while the admission of a design for the universe ultimately raises the question of a designer, a subject outside of science, the scientific method does not allow us to exclude data which lead to the conclusion that the universe, life, and man are based on design. To be forced to believe only one conclusion, that everything in the universe happened by chance, would violate the very objectivity of science itself. Certainly there are those who argue the universe evolved out of a random process. But what random process could produce the brain of a man or the system of the eye? This was either said by Billy Sunday, the famous preacher, Billy Graham, another famous preacher, Chuck Missler, pretty famous preacher, or Werner von Braun, who was the head of NASA rocketry.
I'm going to have to go with Chuck.
Jay?
I was thinking Chuck Missler as well.
3 for Chuck.
Me too. Chuck Missler.
You guys, do you forget how we play this game?
I'm sorry.
You always got to pick something else.
It was Werner von Braun who said it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. One of many scientists.
See, he tricked us with the way he stumbled over it.
Well, he's good at it.
And we all know what's
he
on
acts
his
like he's
headstone.
picking one out. And
Exactly. See, that's
Warner
what made
von
me. Book of Isaiah.
Von Braun wrote the foreword to the book in which this appeared. He's the father of the NASA space program. This was an open letter to the California State Board of Education written in 1972, where essentially he was making his case that both creation and evolution should be taught in schools.
Yeah, because that was 9 years after they outlawed the Bible in school.
Yeah, in
So
1963. And all of the societal indicators, crime, murder, unwed children, divorce, those are all increasing in a bad direction since 1963.
Right.
That's when this country lost its innocence. Okay, so who got that one right?
Nobody.
Nobody. 0. Next quote. We all know that our State Department, the Pentagon, and the White House have brazenly proclaimed that they have the right and the power to manage the news, to tell us not the truth, but what they want us to believe. This was either Donald Trump, Mark Dice, Myron Fagan, or Ken O'Keefe. And if there's someone that you don't know on there, just ask, and I'll tell you who it is. Donald Trump, Mark Dice, Myron Fagan, Ken O'Keefe. Jay, you go first.
I'm going to go Donald Trump.
That does sound like Donald Trump.
I'm going to go Myron Fagan.
I say Ken O'Keefe.
Dice.
Nice.
Howard,
Someone
off to an
gets a
early
point.
lead. Myron Fagan it was.
All right.
He said this in 1967.
So this gets closer.
This is another famous Hollywood director, and people in those circles rub elbows with people in other powerful circles. You guys remember what it was that he saw that got him to realize that, holy cow, there is a conspiracy and it is demonic? And this is a guy that...
You talking about Myron Fagan?
Yeah. Do you remember what it was that he saw that got him realizing that everything is staged?
No.
No.
The Yalta Conference, near the end of
Oh.
World War II. He was with the guys that were negotiating with Stalin, Churchill, Roosevelt. And he saw that
They were all
even before the war, they were specifically chopping up Germany to create two equal powers, as Albert Pike had predicted would happen in 1871, which happened. That led him to discovering the Illuminati. He left Hollywood, recorded back then vinyl albums,
Right.
and he continues to speak today thanks to the internet. All right, Howard gets a point on that one. You got that?
Yes.
All right, so move that $10 bill a little closer
He
to
did.
Howard.
I
DDS
did.
He did?
got it.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
All right, next quote. Are we ready? I'll assume that's a yes. Those who manipulate the organized habits and opinions of the masses constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. Howard, you go first on this one, and you get 2 points if you can just tell me who it is.
No clue.
Okay, then I'm going to give you the multiple choice. We can only own one on this one. It was either Edward Bernays, Sigmund Freud, Joseph Goebbels, the propaganda minister of Nazi Germany, or Katharine Graham, the owner of the Washington Post.
Can we get the quote again?
Those who manipulate the organized habits and opinions of the masses constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country.
I'm thinking Bernays.
David?
I'll go with Graham. Because I don't have any idea.
Tony?
Yeah, I was thinking Bernays too, but it's probably Graham.
But if Howard said it, then I wouldn't repeat it.
It's probably Graham. That's what I'll go with.
Okay. Jay?
I really wanted to go Tom Selleck, but I am going to go Graham.
You are going Tom Selleck in a way. Howard. It was Edward Bernays.
There
He
you
said
go,
this
buddy.
in 1928.
That one I actually knew. The other one was a guess.
If anyone could name the famous book he wrote that this would have been in,
Oh, man.
book called Propaganda. Came out in 1928. And ironically, if you read Propaganda, which came out in 1928, against Mein Kampf, which came out in 1923, they're almost identical.
Really?
And where does a rejected corporal, Adolf Hitler, who's a house painter and an artist, suddenly talk about being able to control the masses and doing it with certainty as if he'd done it 100 times before? That book is littered with how to control the masses. I do believe someone or something was chirping in his ear in some way or another. And Edward Bernays was absolutely a dark individual as well, as was his either cousin or his uncle who was Sigmund Freud.
Yeah.
I was just looking for that book last night, oddly enough.
Propaganda?
Yeah. You know, I read through parts of it. I want to go through the whole thing just because it's so fitting.
Yeah.
It's fascinating when you read something that was written almost 100 years ago and you realize, holy cow, this is what has been done. And when we have our show on the protocols of the learned elders, that one just makes my hair stand up.
You know, your line item in your matrix that you handed out, where it talks about 1930s Germany and U.S. today.
Yeah,
I was just talking about that yesterday.
The parallels.
Yeah, it's just.
I mean, down to the death camps waiting to be filled. It is beyond eerie. It is time to get your affairs in order, people. Yeah, so Bernays, he was considered the father of public relations. Considered he's unequaled in the field of PR, propaganda strategy, crowd psychology, and the practices described in his 1928 book, Propaganda, they're at work today more than most people could even imagine. Bernays clearly saw an organized, invisible government behind the scenes. He later wrote in the book, "The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in a democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed, our minds are molded, our tastes formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men we have never heard of." Okay, telling it like it is. Howard's up to nothing?
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be correct.
All right, we ready for the next one?
Born ready.
Bring it.
Here's the quote. "That erroneous assumption is to the effect that the aim of public education to fill the young of the species with knowledge and awaken their intelligence and so make them fit to discharge the duties of citizenship in an enlightened and independent manner." That's what we think it's for. "Nothing could be further from the truth. The aim of public education is not to spread enlightenment at all. It is simply to reduce as many individuals as possible to the same safe level, to breed and train a standardized citizenry, to down dissent and originality. This is its aim in the United States. Whatever pretensions of politicians, pedagogues, other such mountebanks, and that is its aim everywhere else. If any contrary theory is cherished among us, it is simply because public schools are still new in America, hint, and so their true character and purpose are but little understood." Ready? These are the choices.
Yep.
And I think Dave goes first. 2 points if you know who it is off the bat.
I do not.
All right. Your choices are Maya Angelou, H.L. Mencken, Alice Bailey, or Henry Kissinger.
Well, I don't know who the first three people are.
Maya Angelou she's the black poet,
Writer.
writer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know
H.L.
Ida
Mencken
Cage
was the education newspaper guy from the 1920s. Alice Bailey was a theosophist. She was behind the Lucifer Trust, which is the printing company of the United Nations, along with Annie Besant and Ask Me Later. And I think you know Henry Kissinger. Angelou, Mencken, Bailey, or Kissinger?
I'll go with Angelou.
Mencken.
You know what, George? What's weird is George Carlin pretty much said the same thing, but I am going to go with I don't know. It seems like a Maya Angelou type thing. She's kind of a rebel. It seems like I'm going to go with her.
I'm going to go Mencken.
The answer is Mencken. Mencken, in reviewing Upton Sinclair's 1924 book, The Goslings, A Study of the American Schools, corrected one of Sinclair's basic assumptions. Basically, most of us grow up never realizing that what the schools do is indoctrinate us. And that's such a heavy word. But think about this. In 1900, we're an agrarian society. We're raised in, there's cities, of course, but education is coming through the home at the dinner table with mom and dad. And there's usually a Bible in every house at this point in the world. 13 years later, the Federal Reserve gets the power to print our currency, which is the very thing we left England. That it was the cornerstone of our revolution. We just gave it back to them in a vote. And wait, is that Howard's phone that just dinged on there? What?
So
That's
weird.
weird.
Oh, that's minus 2 points.
I'm thinking another 100 shows, and we'll have these winkles worked out.
I got here so early today, I forgot to.
Here's
shut
this
it off.
10. Here's this 10. Moving away a little bit.
Do I deduct a point?
For Howard.
Yeah.
If it rings again, yes, we'll give him a warning.
I need that money for my IRS.
Well, there is something that goes along with the Federal Reserve Act in 1913 that also turned the government upside down.
What's that?
That would be the change from legislature-appointed senators to senators voted by popular vote. Also happened April 1913.
And the impact of that, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a terrible thing, and it's destroyed our system. But it would take too long to explain. You can look into that. It happened the same year, and it's not a coincidence, by the way.
And if you look at what has happened morally in the United States, and don't get me wrong, I've enjoyed the moral decline as much as pretty much anybody.
Not as much as DiBiase based on the conversation we were having earlier.
Yeah. Freda Felcher, what? So, but if you look at where we've gone from 1913 to today,
Yeah.
I mean, 1913, women wouldn't expose their ankles at a beach. Now, I'm not saying that was right, or I would have liked to have lived in 1913, but that is definitely a biblically impacted audience.
Sure.
And today, Kim Kardashian can make a sex tape and become famous. Something
Because
that
of it.
as a result of it.
Yeah, right.
And that was predicted 2,000 years ago.
Yeah,
and that
it's weird,
it was
right?
predicted that it would happen right after Israel's regathered. How strange!
That's
Another
weird, too.
unbelievable prediction.
Yeah.
But it's just a book of myths. Right?
Can I ask a question real quick? What did you say the name of the company that prints our money? What is it called?
The Federal Reserve.
Yeah, but I thought you said the name that actually prints it. You said was
No, he's talking about for the United Nations. That you're talking about the Lucifer Trust.
yeah. What is that?
We'll ask me about that after the show. Lucifer
Gotcha.
Trust was the publishing arm of the United Nations when it first went into business, whatever you want to call it, whenever it was formed, just after this would have been just after World War II, roughly, give or take.
Yeah.
And there was an outfit. Originally, they were called Lucifer Trust with a nice demonic logo, and they ended up changing it to Lucis Trust, but it's still a company that has the name of the Light Bearer, which is not Jesus Christ. It's Satan, because he bared the light of God. He sucked up all the light because even the other angels around his throne, it was just too much. He let it go to his head, and we kind of know the rest of the story. All right, was there anything on Mencken I was going to tell you guys? Oh, Aaron Russo's going to pop up later in our game today, and there's going to be a quote in there. However, Aaron Russo was I don't know if I'm giving away the Aaron Russo quote, but whatever. Aaron Russo was the person that became friends with Nicholas Rockefeller.
Right.
And before 9/11 ever happened, Nicholas Rockefeller said, hey, there's going to be this event. We're going to be chasing these imaginary terrorists, and it's all towards getting the population chipped. One of the other things, and this really shocked Russo. This is when he started to question what the hell he was involved in. And Russo's another famous Hollywood guy. He was the guy that made Trading Places and a lot of other movies. The Name of the Rose. You've heard of a lot of his movies. So the other thing that was told to Russo by Nick Rockefeller is that the Rockefeller Foundation, which you will find supporting anything that takes society away from the Bible, you're just going to find it. They're all over the place. And this seemingly innocuous infusion into the women's liberation movement, and I'm not making any judgments on women's lib at all, but I will judge what the motivation was of the Rockefeller clan. Because what Nick Rockefeller told Aaron Russo at this party, which was in 1999 or 2000, was that they had funded the women's liberation movement for two reasons, and it had nothing to do for the betterment of women. It was to get women out of the house, get them working, so now they're doubling their tax income per household. And as a result, since mom and dad are now both out of the house every day, who's raising the kids all day? And that came into play, our American school system as we know it, in 1905. 1913 was the Federal Reserve Act. And what are we, 3 generations since then? And you can see it in the quality of people that is being put out.
Wasn't the federal level Department of Education in 1978 where they took it from the states and put the authority the federal level for the schools?
It would make sense. That's how Satan runs his operations. He has the guy at the top or a couple guys at the top, and no one else has any idea.
Right.
And they just don't know the hidden agendas going on. And how do those people at top get there? Well, when the banker's money that finances a presidential campaign gets the president into office, what is the first thing a president does? He's making 200 appointments to different positions: Secretary of Education, Secretary of Transportation, Secretary of Health, blah, 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 and on down to judges. Do you think he knows all those people? Or do you think that list came
Absolutely
from
not.
his financiers?
Yeah, no way.
Oh, you'll be president, but here's who you're going to put. And that's where the real power
Actually comes
is.
from the CFR, I believe. CFR creates most of all that. They're all involved in that.
You're going to,
Which is
Adam
Rockefeller
Weishaupt
thing.
said, we're never going to do business under our own label. They're in the CFR. They are in the Jesuits. It doesn't mean all the Jesuits are them. It doesn't mean all the CFR is bad either. But if you are in American politics as a power player, you most likely are or have been asked to be a member of the CFR. Just the way it is. But it doesn't mean just being in it, you're privy to all this inside info. Again, like
You're
secret
beholden to it,
societies,
though. You're beholden to it, just like I think we talked about it before. I think Shadow Ring, was one of the documentaries I had sent out to you guys. James Perloff, Ben Swan, a lot of these, Jim Mars, all these people were in this documentary. It's a good show, but they basically talk about Ben Swan's interviewing Romney. During the presidential run, he's got 2 CFR guys behind him. He doesn't know who they are. And every time it was Romney and whoever was vice president at the time, running for vice president, which was Paul Ryan, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was Ryan. Yeah.
So they're sitting there, he's having this interview, and they keep looking over his shoulder to get the answers from the guys on the couch. And it happened both times. And so he's just, Ben Swan's like, hey, who are those guys on the couch? Oh, that's the CFR. Those guys are from the CFR. And that's basically, through this whole thing, they basically run all these different people. So you have, when you have a CFR meeting, you have Hillary talking, you have Cheney talking, you have Dan Rather talking, all these people that are involved in politics are all tied to the CFR. And they basically pull all the strings.
and look, when you're invited to the CFR, there's stars in your eyes. You're like, oh my God, I'm being invited to the CFR. That's like, that's the palace of palaces.
Right.
Before you even know what's going on, you're in. This is now your social circles. These are the people you hang out with. Everything they do and say becomes to start to seem normal, like it's the right thing. And you're insulated from the rest of the world. All right, we ready to move on?
Yeah.
I felt like there was something else we were supposed to say, but whatever. Our kids are now raised by the state. We send them there 8 hours a day, and they are not taught how to think but they are taught what to think. A lot of them brag about knowing all 50 state capitals. But when has anyone ever used that information once?
It's a good question.
Never. I haven't. Even when I'm driving through a place. All right, next quote. Who got a point on that one?
To Howard.
It was H.L. Mencken?
Me and T.
Yep.
Okay, you got the score? Should be like 3001 or something like that?
Yep.
Okay, next quote. Ready? I spent 33 years and 4 months in active service as a member of our country's most agile military force. I served in all commissioned ranks from second lieutenant to major general. And during that period, I spent most of my time being a high-class muscle man for big business, for Wall Street, and for the bankers. In short, I was a racketeer for capitalism. I suspect I was just part of a racket at the time. Now I am sure of it. Like all members of the profession, I never had an original thought until I left the service. My mental faculties remained in suspended animation while I obeyed the orders of the higher-ups. This is typical of everyone in the military service. Was this Smedley Butler, George Patton, Douglas MacArthur, or Schwarzkopf?
Smedley Butler.
Who's up?
Tony.
Okay.
I'm gonna go MacArthur.
Schwarzkopf.
I'll say MacArthur.
Tony got it. Smedley Butler. As Major General, Butler occupied the highest rank attainable in his day. He is one of only 19 men in American history to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor twice. Essentially, the man was a hero. After a career as a military officer, Butler realized the powers behind banking and big business were using the U.S. military for their own purposes, and he decided to speak out about it through a series of speeches, articles, and his 1935 book, War is a Racket. This quote comes from an article for Common Sense written in 1935. But he actually did some newsreel stuff and was invited even by this same group to lead a coup of President Roosevelt. You guys aware of this? Where he'd been approached by hundreds of this group, hundreds of hyper-powerful men, and they wanted him to lead a coup of the government. It's the same tyranny we were warned of by Washington, Madison, Jefferson, Adams. You get the picture. Never went away and is still here. We just don't talk about it anymore. Okay, so point for Tony.
Yep.
All right, let's do a couple more and then we can take our first break.
We're getting smoked.
Yeah.
Here's the quote. The world is not going to be saved by legislation. This is Billy Sunday, William H. Taft, Joseph McCarthy from the McCarthy scare, or George Bush Sr. Jay, I think you're up.
I'm going to go Taft.
I like Taft as well.
Choices one more time.
Billy Sunday, Taft, Joseph McCarthy, George Bush Sr.
Taft.
Who's Billy Sunday?
The preacher.
Okay.
He was a preacher from the 1930s and 40s.
That's probably the right answer.
I'll do. I was going to go with Taft, but I'm going to go with that one just to be different.
You Howarded yourself. William H. Taft was the right answer.
I want Howard to get the money anyway.
I sabotaged.
Thanks, Tony. You know I need it, brother.
I find it interesting that essentially the chief legislator in the world, probably at the time, United States, turn of the century, this was in 1916, would say that legislation's not going to do it, boys.
Yeah, that's an odd thing to say, right? For
following
presidential.
Woodrow Wilson, right?
And of course, implied in that is the world is not going to be saved. We're not going to be saved. You would never hear a president say something like that today.
No.
Nothing.
Now
that
you
could,
hear them
nothing
say,
that could,
I'm going to save you.
Yeah. You got the points dispersed there, Jay?
Yes. Howard with 3. Dave has 1. I have 1. And Tony has 2.
How do I not have 4?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say 4? What'd I say?
You said 3.
Sorry, yeah, 4. No, I marked your last one. You're good.
Okay, the judges have ruled.
Gotta audit that.
Cat must
All right.
be texting Jay.
Are we ready for the next one?
Somehow I've got 9.
Here's the
Ready.
quote. Objection. Those who hope for salvation are so far happy, but they have as a counterpoise the fear of hell. Reply. Who has most reason to fear hell? He who is in ignorance whether there is a hell, and who is certain of damnation? Or he who certainly believes there is a hell and hopes to be saved if there is? This was either Joel Osteen, Isaac Newton, Blaise Pascal, or Billy Graham.
That's a good one. Who's up?
Howard.
Oh, great. Who's Pascal?
I don't know.
Scientist.
He was a French mathematician, I think.
I'm going to go Pascal.
Run the list of choices one more time.
Joel Osteen, Isaac Newton, Blaise Pascal, Billy Graham.
Man, this is tough. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, Graham.
I'm going to go with Isaac Newton.
Does it help if I tell you the quote was made in 1669?
Well, that helps.
It helps me a little bit.
Yeah.
'Cause
It was Blaise Pascal. Don't say Isaac Newton. You were about to, weren't you?
I
Yeah.
was gonna.
Okay.
Yeah.
After a vision in 1654, he's a famous French mathematician and scientist. He's famous in his day. He gets a vision, like has happened to Isaac Newton, like happened to Einstein, like has happened to so many people that we think had no God in their life. After a vision in 1654, Pascal came to believe that the God creator sent his son Jesus to earth, and that is what he ultimately believed. He would spend the next 8 years of his life writing about the philosophical, scientific, and mathematical implications of coming to believe that God is real. Pensies was the name of his book, which translates roughly into thoughts. It was published in 1669, 7 years after his death, so this would have been said in the early 1660s. Sound familiar? He discovers God is real, and he's so certain about it, he spends the rest of his life talking about it. I don't know.
Did anyone who got that right?
Howard did.
Howard.
He's smoking it, man.
I'm killing you
He's
guys.
tearing it up.
All right, let's do 2 more, and then I'm going to flood if I don't take a break. Okay, we ready?
Ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Shoot it. Fire
Hang
it.
on.
Hit me.
I'm coming.
Come at me, bro.
What was the name of that comedian that you were talking about?
George
Carlin.
Carlin.
George Carlin.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not the answer. Here's the quote, though. Yeah, it's the end of the world. What do you think it's going to be? Excuse me, let me start over. Yeah, it's the end of the world. What? Do you think it's going to come on a TV show right on schedule? Shit. They've been digging this for a long time. Read the fucking book of Revelations. The end of the world is not just coming, it's here.
Barbara Bush.
Billy Graham.
Joel Osteen.
All right. This was either author Hunter S. Thompson, Keanu Reeves' character in the movie Constantine, Jim Carrey, or Dennis Miller.
Who's up?
That's good.
You.
That's a good one.
That is from the movie Constantine.
I'll say the same.
I don't think that it was from the movie Constantine because I thought there was only one swear word in that, and that was by the angels. So I'm gonna go. Wait, what else was there?
Ooh.
What else was it?
Hunter S. Thompson,
Really talking
Keanu
about-
Reeves,
Hunter S. Thompson.
Wow.
Jim Carrey, and Dennis Miller.
I was totally going Constantine. I love that movie.
That's a great movie.
I'm going to go Dennis Miller.
It was Hunter S. Thompson.
Wow. Dang.
Actually, my first choice.
Way to break it down.
I just remembered that the one F word in that movie was like at a pivotal point.
It's okay. I still would have been wrong, so you don't have to apologize to me.
Yeah. Well, I did.
Okay,
appreciate
Rain
that.
Man, whatever. You got it right.
And I forgive you.
You know there's
You
one
know.
swear word in that movie.
Something was up with Hunter S. Thompson. A lot of rumors about him, and I don't like spreading gossip, but it's somewhat public information. He was one of the people involved when these evil bastards get a bunch of children. If you guys know this, where they let a bunch of children go running and they literally hunt the kids down and kill them. Like He was involved in these events that would be on a ranch somewhere. And he ended up killing himself. That had the very tortured soul. He was on Dave Letterman a lot, though. Interesting guy, but he'd seen something. He just was rocked.
You know how you know he was weird? Because he was played by Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
And there's videos of him on YouTube shooting at his neighbors.
Okay, we're going to do one more before we take a break. We're not going to guess the person on this one. I just want to know the decade it was set in. Here's the quote. You'd better pray to the Lord when you see those flying saucers. It may be the coming of the judgment day. This was either, in random order, this was either in the 1980s, the 1940s, the 1920s, or the 2010s. Whose turn is it first?
I think it's mine. 40s.
Okay.
Okay, it was 2010, 1940s. What?
80s, 40s, 20s.
I'll go 20s.
I'll go 40s.
I'll say 80s.
It was the 1940s. It was in a song by Seymour Cy Coben. 1947, the year Roswell happened. And only 30 years after John Dewey, who helped create our education system, first proposed that the way to unify the world would be for there to be an outside alien invasion. First time it was ever said that I've ever in recorded history. And pop culture has got us believing that's exactly what's going to happen. And we're going to think that's happening when the day comes. Did anyone get a point on that one?
That would be me again.
Yep, 2.
All right, let's go high five Howard because he's got to be in the lead right now, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
we got Howard with 6. Dave has 1. I have 2. Tony has 3.
It's almost like
Dave.
It's almost like a mercy.
It's
issue
runaway.
here.
You know what? Maybe I should sit out the next couple questions just to make it
Just
fair.
let him catch up to you.
Well, that was humble. Yeah.
That won't help.
You want to get us to break, and we'll.
Yeah, we're gonna play a few commercials. Welcome back to Down the Rabbit Hole. We got a quotes game going on here, highly contested. It's a tight race. Well, I mean, not really, but we're gonna come back for the second half and see if you guys can catch up to me.
I think we need legislation. No contestant left behind.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
There you go.
I should get some of your points. It's not
Well,
fair.
you should just make my answers worth less.
I've been
Because
answering.
I've had more of them.
I've been answering in Common Core, so I think that's what my
That's
issue
the problem.
is.
Well, the problem is you're not showing your work.
Howard's got the cheat sheet over there.
Right.
Oh, you guys saw that, huh?
All right. Who?
All right, you girls ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Here's the quote. Since the publication of The Invasion from Mars in 1940, I have often been asked whether I thought such a thing could happen again. The questioners usually imply that we are now somehow too sophisticated to be taken in by anything so fanciful. Unfortunately, I've always had to reply that of course it could happen again today and even on a much more extensive scale. The invasion from Mars in 1940 was, I'll tell you about it later. Let me just give you the options. It was either Edward Bernays, propaganda stud, Henry Cantrill, another propaganda stud, Orson Welles, who gave the 1938 broadcast that is being discussed here, or Douglas MacArthur.
Can we get the quote one more time?
Since the publication of The Invasion from Mars in 1940, I have often been asked whether I thought such a thing could happen again. The questioners usually imply that we are now somehow too sophisticated to be taken in by anything so fanciful. Unfortunately, I have always had to reply that of course it could happen again, today and even on a much more extensive scale.
Who's up?
Orson
I believe
Bernays, Cantrill,
I am.
Orson Welles, or MacArthur.
Right? Am I? Yeah, I think I'm up. when you were reading it before you gave any names, I had Wells in my head, so that's who I'm sticking with.
Okay.
I'm going Orson Welles as well.
Dang. Orson Welles.
Oh, Orson Welles.
It was Henry Cantrell.
My first choice.
Now here's the beauty of this, and I didn't even plan
yeah,
this.
It was because I love Alice in Chains.
What is that? Does that have something to do with Cantrell?
The guitar player's name's Jerry Cantrell.
Ah, okay. So interestingly, here's the backstory in the 401 book. This was a quote from 1940. With funding by the Rockefeller Foundation, no surprise, Cantrell was tasked with measuring and quantifying the reactions of the audience to Orson Welles' realistic 1938 radio broadcast of a live invasion by Martians. It may seem hokey today, but it wasn't back then. People panicked, some committed suicide. Cantrell may have been one of those Illuminati members, quote-unquote, in the know, as it seems he's foreshadowing when he states it could happen again on a much more extensive scale. Now, he's talking about a deception happening on a much more extensive scale. He seems to be almost confident about it. And all you got to do is read a little bit of the Bible and take a look up in the sky and ask yourself, what is up there? Because it's not nothing. Okay, we ready to move on?
Ready.
We are.
Yep.
Or we could talk about that for a minute.
What do you want to say?
It's interesting, talking about deception and how this is all going down. We've talked about I.D. Thomas and all that, what's going to happen. Was that Operation Bluebird or something to do with that? Was that the code name?
Well, there is Mockingbird was the CIA's having agents as newspaper people.
Right.
There was Blue Beam and Blue Book. Blue Beam was supposedly this awesome committee of super scientists tasked with figuring out if there's really something going on.
Okay.
They came out with this official report going, it's all bunk, but they were essentially corralled into saying that.
Oh, that's what a bunch of them died after that, right?
Well, I know one of them. Oh, okay, and I got the testimony. This was from another retired general in the Navy who worked under. Who was the Secretary of the Navy that jumped out of Bethesda? Well, he was thrown out the window. But the retired general now, who was an underling to someone, give me the name. Admiral, 1947. He was on
Admiral Byrd.
No.
Oh.
He was on Project Bluebeam, or he was one of the early guys that knew that there was something out there, and they tossed him out of a window.
I remember the story. I don't remember what
the name will come to me. He's a famous guy.
I think they talk about him in Wormwood, that TV show Wormwood. I think that's based on that.
I don't know, but I do know that it was interesting that I saw a testimony of a now retired ex-general who at the time was, like some young second lieutenant or something like that. And it was just known in the Navy that, what's his name? That he was murdered. The name will come to us. If anyone has an internet connection,
You looking at
suicide, Bethesda Hospital, 1940. See what we come up with.
Forrestal.
Thank you, James Forrestal.
Right.
All right, next quote. Are we ready?
Ready.
Yes.
Yes.
Ignorance is not innocence, but sin. This was either Peter the Apostle, Isaac Newton, J.C. Ryle, or Robert Browning.
Howard.
Do you guys know who J.C. Ryle is?
Yes.
No.
Mid-1800s biblical teacher, author. He's the guy that I talk about a lot because he's writing in the 1800s saying, I have no idea how this is going to happen because right now the Jews are the lowest rung of every social ladder of every country on the planet. But I just know this because I believe in the Bible. Israel is going to have a state again someday. I have no idea how that could possibly happen. He's writing this in the 1860s, 1870s. Now, there's a guy that he had faith in what was written, and he could actually predict the future based on that.
Right.
I mean, it seems so, anyone could have predicted Israel would have been regathered, right? No. When I read that, and I'm just looking at this book published in 1860, it's just kind of unbelievable that ended up happening.
Agreed.
Peter the Apostle, Isaac Newton, J.C. Ryle, so he is the religious author, and Robert Browning is an English playwright. You guys have heard of him?
Yes.
Okay. Who's up?
Howard's up.
I'm going to go Browning.
I'll say Isaac Newton.
Peter.
I'm going Peter as well.
Howard is rolling today.
What?
It was Robert Browning. He wrote this in 1876. I put this quote in the What Now chapter because, as Browning succinctly points out in poetic verse, ignorance is a choice. Several passages in the Bible discuss that claiming ignorance when the big day comes will not help you. Hosea 4:6 is one of many that makes this point. As God states, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge because you have rejected knowledge. I reject you." Yikes. Heavy words. But I think it's God's way of saying ignorance is a choice. And if you choose to ignore, because that's what ignorance is, it's just ignoring something. If you choose to ignore messages about Him, God, that find your ears or eyes, you are playing with fire, literally. So what now? Learn as much as you can. The rest will come naturally to you. All right, we ready to move on?
Yes, sir.
I hope we don't have this test when that time comes.
Which do you mean this quiz?
This quiz, yeah.
No, this better not be part of it.
Oh, could you imagine
I'm
like
hosed.
if
Yeah.
you get into heaven or not based on how you do on a multiple choice? If it were
On
today,
this
Dave,
one?
you'd
yeah,
be fucked.
I'd probably be, I don't know, cleaning toilets. Or something. I might still be cleaning toilets. I don't know.
Well, that would be hysterical if I'm the guy in the room that ends up in heaven because
you won the quiz.
Because
that
you
day.
won the quotes game.
I'd be in there.
Here's the
That'd
quote.
be the butt, Bob.
All right. What? What's that from?
You don't know that?
strangest place you've ever done it.
Yeah, the strange. It was Newlywed
Oh my God, that
Games.
was on the
Games.
Newlywed
Newlywed
Game.
Game.
In the butt.
Strangest place you ever did. That'd be the butt, Bob.
Have you guys ever seen the
Flush.
the Jeopardy? Oh no, Wheel of Fortune. And here, every letter but one letter.
Is that the South Park one?
No, this
Oh,
this.
that's awesome.
Now I don't know if this really happened or if the guy that was, he edited it to make it look like Pat Sajak was sitting there like just dumbfounded. But the word was clam on top, unknown letter, Igger. Clam, then unknown letter, Igger. Okay?
Yeah, I know that one.
And the contestant said, "Could I have an N, Pat?" And the whole studio is silent. And Pat Sajak's looking around going, no, I don't think there's an N. Then the next person goes, "Can I have a D?" You got it. Clam
there
digger.
You go.
Okay. Now, are you racist for saying that? Am I racist?
No, it's
because
funny.
of it?
It's, you don't mean it.
No, it's
you
funny.
You didn't make it up.
I mean, I don't know what you're guilty of these
Whatever.
days. Okay, here's the next quote. "There is superstition in science, quite as much as there is superstition in theology. And it is all the more dangerous because those suffering from it are profoundly convinced that they are freeing themselves from all superstition."
It's a good quote.
Whoever we were talking about
Yeah.
with science being a religion, whoever that was, is someone in this room. I thought of it. That's why I put this one in there. Your choices are Jonas Salk. You guys know who that is?
I do, but
I
I
know the
don't.
name.
Yeah. I know the name.
Didn't he do something with penicillin?
It's possible. Doctor-ish.
I could have said Dr. Jonas Salk. Bill Nye the Science Guy, J.C. Ryle, or Teddy Roosevelt. Who's up first? David?
Me?
Two-
Dr. Jonas Salk.
I'll second.
What'd you just say?
Second.
Okay. Pronounce that a little better. It came out wrong.
Wait, what?
I want to go Bill Nye, but I hate Bill Nye.
I know.
So,
Yeah, I'm with you.
But that
And-
has
and
no
who-
bearing on whether he said it or
but
not.
whoever said it though, I feel like I should respect that person. I'm gonna go with Salt.
I'm going to go J.C. Ryle.
Did you guess?
I guess Jonas Salk. Dr. Jonas Salk.
It was Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh. What?
Goose egg.
Good for him.
That's a good quote.
It's a great quote.
This was in a book of his writings called History as Literature and Other Essays. Roosevelt continues, so this now continuing the quote. No grotesque repulsiveness of medieval superstition, even as it survived into 19th century Spain and Naples, could be much more intolerant, much more destructive of all that is fine in morality, in the spiritual sense, and indeed in civilization itself, than that hard, dogmatic materialism of today, which often not merely calls itself scientific, but arrogates to itself the sole right to use the term scientific. If these pretensions affected only scientific men themselves, it would be a matter of small moment. But unfortunately, they tend gradually to affect the whole people and to establish a very dangerous standard of private and public conduct in the public mind. So this was, got to understand here, everyone believed in creation, roughly. You know, the vast majority of Earth believed in the creation until 1859, then On Origins comes out by Darwin. So this is 53 years later. That's how old we are. You know, it's not a lot of time. This is now 1913. He's already worried about a very dangerous standard of private and public conduct that could happen because our public mind is believing that we were randomly put together, meaning God's laws are meaningless. And 20 years later is when the Nazis came to power, and they would use literally Darwin's theories of survival of the fittest to justify the Holocaust. A lot of people have died because of that theory, and a lot of them are going to die twice because of that theory. And if you don't know what that means, you're in danger, my friend. So go find out. All right, next quote. Are you ready?
Yes.
No points on that one, right?
No.
Here's the quote. There are many who believe that the recent alien involvements are also demonic and are just another precursor to the end time. Some also believe that the coming world leader may boast of an alien connection. It would be consistent from what else we can infer from scripture. Chuck Missler, Steve Quayle, Ronald Reagan, or J. Allen Hynek.
Who's J. Allen Hynek?
He was probably the most famous UFO researcher, real scientist, testified before Congress many times, basically opposing organizations like Project Blue Book, saying that these men are trying to deceive you. These men are trying to deceive the country. There is really something out there, and we need to look at this. We're in danger. He got famous for that.
I'm going to pick him.
Okay.
What were the choices again?
Chuck Missler, Steve Quayle, Ron Reagan, J. Allen Hynek.
I'm gonna go Quayle.
I'm going to go Ronald Reagan because that popped into my head before you even gave us the option.
Yeah, I will also go with Ronnie.
It was Dr. Chuck Missler.
Man.
The comment in the 401 book is, I think Reagan and friends had it right when he said that the world would unite if threatened by something alien, which he said many times, actually, not just once at the UN. He said it at least 8 times that was recorded. I think he was onto something. If we were made to believe that aliens visited and they take credit for creating us, we would unite as a world, which is what Jesus predicted would happen soon after Israel was reborn, which happened in 1948. Maybe all those rockets NASA has been sending into space for the last 40 years have a hidden purpose. Some find it noteworthy. The NASA has named many of its programs after pagan gods like Apollo, Mercury, Gemini, and Saturn. They also point out that NASA logo, when you recognize there's a red serpent tongue cutting through it, forms the letter T, making an anagram for Satan. And of course, NASA in Hebrew means to deceive. Look into NASA. They are not a harmless thing. They're more dangerous than you realize. Okay. Any points on that one? No?
Nope.
Oh, my God. You guys are killing me.
That's terrible.
Someone will get this one. We ready?
Yes.
They worshipped, so they said, the great old ones who lived ages before there were any men, and who came to the young world out of the sky. Those old ones were gone now, inside the earth and under the sea, but their dead bodies had told their secrets and dreams to the first men, who formed a cult which never died. This was that cult, and the prisoners said it had always existed and always would exist, hidden in distant wastes and dark places all over the world, until the time when the great priest Chituthu, from his dark house in the mighty city of Riley, under the waters, should rise and bring the earth again beneath his sway. Someday he would call when the stars were ready, and the secret cult would always be waiting to liberate him. We good? You guys not going to make me read that one again, right?
No.
No.
Thank you. Okay. This was either Aleister Crowley, Manly P. Hall, Edgar Allan Poe, or H.P. Lovecraft.
God, I even hate saying his name, but Crowley. It sounds like something weird he would say.
Those are great potential
Yeah.
authors.
Yeah.
I got to give you credit for that one. I'm going to go Lovecraft.
I'll have to go with Crowley.
Lovecraft.
Man, Howard is shooting like 70% from the
Wow.
three-point line right now. It was H.P. Lovecraft.
It was too intelligible to be Edgar Allan Poe.
If you really get in and read H.P. Lovecraft's
Yeah.
work, there is no doubt in my mind he had been completely exposed to the demonic world and was a lost soul writing through the end of his life. It's like he was a dead soul. But what he writes is beyond fascinating, and he, in his own artistic way, is trying to tell people, look, this ancient old thing, these guys from these are the demons.
Yeah.
They're here. And I want to say Lovecraft killed himself. He only lived to 47.
I believe he did.
Okay. Any points on that one?
That'd be Howard and Tony, right?
Yep.
What's the score?
Howard's got 8, Dave has 1, I have 2, and Tony has 4.
Just kidding.
Next quote.
Flirting with double digits.
Here's the quote. In the final phases of the conspiracy, the one world government will consist of the king dictator, head of the United Nations, the CFR, and a few billionaires, economists, and scientists who have proved their devotion to the great conspiracy. All others are to be integrated into a vast conglomeration of mongrelized humanity, actually as slaves. This was either Myron Fagan, John Todd, Roger Morneau, the Illuminati defector, or Mark Dice. In the final phases of the conspiracy, the one world government will consist of the king dictator.
I'll go John Todd.
Wow. Fagin was one of the choices, right?
Mm-hmm.
I pick him.
Yeah, there's at least 3 very...
He's done good picking them this time.
John Todd stepped out to me for some reason. So
I agree.
You know, I'm going to go, what was it, mine?
Myron Fagan.
Myron Fagan, John Todd, Roger Morneau, Mark Dice.
Morneau.
Has everyone answered?
Yes.
It was Myron Fagan.
Oh, I got a point.
This
Nice.
king dictator Fagan
Feel the
referenced
heat.
was predicted in the Bible. He's most popularly known as the Antichrist or the Assyrian, among many different names used for him. In fact, I think he had 33 different names in the Bible. Popular figure who has yet to show up on the scene. Okay, we ready for the next one?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, this is the Aaron Russo one, but it's got a twist. This is Aaron Russo talking, and he's referencing a conversation with Nick Rockefeller. The quote is, I used to say to him, Nick Rockefeller, I used to say to him, what's the point of all this? You have all the money in the world you need. You have all the power you need. What's the point? What's the end goal? To which Rockefeller replied, the end goal is to get everybody chipped, to control the whole society, to have the bankers and the elite control the world. Question is, how long did Aaron Russo live after going public with this story? Your choices are 8 years, 4 years, 2 years, or 9 months.
9 months.
2 years.
I'm going to go 4 years.
9 months.
9 months is right. He did an interview with Alex Jones in January 2007, and he was dead by November. I'm sure.
How did he die?
Self-inflicted gunshot to the back.
No.
That's usually
He's one
what
that
it is.
sounds more natural, but believe me, this ability is
In his sleep in
well
a
with it.
ranch
He
in
died of
Texas.
cancer.
Cancer?
I like
Putin.
to do that with radiation.
Putin did that with gas.
They can do that.
On the internet. Through Facebook.
Did anyone get points on that one?
It
I
wasn't, speaking of radiation
Yes.
poisoning, wasn't that the way that
It was me and DBS.
Yeah, I got you guys.
FBI.
You're at 9, he's got 3.
whistleblower you've talked about before?
Snowden, Assange,
No, older guy,
Gunderson.
Ted Gunderson. Wasn't he, they found some kind of radiation in his ductwork in his house?
Possibly.
I'm pretty sure that's what the story was.
You speak the truth in this world, you're going to be under attack on many levels. All right, anyone get any points on that one? Someone did.
Yeah, Howard and Dave. Howard's at 9, Dave's at 3.
Damn,
I
Howard
would
is
just say when
just-
Howard doesn't get a point,
He is just all net from the
Send a memo.
from the arc. Next question. You guys should get this one. Here's the quote. In 100 years' time, perhaps, a great man will appear who may offer them, the people, a chance at salvation. He'll take me as a model, use my ideas, and follow the course I have charted. This was either Napoleon, Alexander the Great, Nero, or Hitler. In 100 years' time, perhaps, a great man will appear who may offer the people a chance at salvation. He'll take me as a model, use my ideas, and follow the course I have charted. Napoleon, Alexander the Great, Nero, or Hitler?
Who? Yeah, you start, right? Yeah.
Tony, let's just have him go.
I'm going to go with Adolf.
Yeah, I'm going Hitler as well.
Adolf.
Really? I'll mix it up. Alexander the Great.
They're attributed to Hitler. The backstory is this. No records were found in which Hitler himself spoke these words. They did, however, appear in the film Hitler, The Last 10 Days, in which renowned actor Alec Guinness portrayed the falling dictator. With that said, the words were certified as authentic by Rittmeister Gerhard Bolt, who was in the bunker with Hitler in the days leading up to Germany's surrender. The movie Hitler, The Last 10 Days, from which these words are taken, was dictated from first-hand testimony. These words are certified as true by the eyewitness Rittmeister Gerhard Bolt, who was in the bunker with Hitler. Whether Hitler actually spoke these words or it's a case of artistic expression by the writer of the film, it's quite interesting. These words are in the public domain either way you slice it. Think about it. Nonetheless, I suspect Hitler did say something to this effect. The Nazis, along with Hitler, were heavily immersed in the occult, which would give him access to the dark side's evil plans through channeling and spiritism. And I've learned a lot about that in the last 2 weeks, by the way. Of course, he was getting his information from demons, literally, but I'm not even sure Hitler knew that. I think Hitler thought he was truly divine. But it is funny because we're all expecting the Antichrist to show up, and that's pretty much what he's describing, is this Antichrist character.
Right.
And I think Hitler's going to end up being right, at least on that one. Okay. We ready to move on?
Yes.
Any points on that one?
Yep.
Everyone but Dave.
Yeah.
He's hitting
That's okay. I win.
nothing
I
but...
win in other ways.
That's true.
You know.
You still get a trophy when this is over.
Participation trophy?
Absolutely.
Of course.
Okay. I'm going to read you the quote, and I'm going to ask you... let me read you the quote, and then I'll give you the question. The quote is this. In the process of research, we came to the conclusion that a human was an energy and information system that receives information from outside. So, let me finish, sorry. This is precisely why a human can manifest paranormal abilities. Now, this is a major respected official. I'll share the name in a minute. But here's the question. Was this a respected official out of the military, the religious sector, the scientific sector, or the philosophy and education sector? In the process of research, we came to the conclusion that a human was an energy and information system that receives information from outside. So this person is saying that humans can get information outside of our five senses. Military, religious, scientific, philosophy.
It's me. Could you read that first sentence again? Just the first sentence.
It is only one sentence, but I'll read it. In the process of research, we came to the conclusion
right there. I just need to hear we scientific.
Scientific.
Military.
All right, Dave and Tony, you guys got that.
Damn it.
Major General Vasily Yeremenko,
Astral projection.
Russian Air Force officer, KGB, intelligence, professor at the Academy of Security, Defense and Law, and eventually became a UFO whistleblower in the Soviet Union. In 1997, General, okay, he's a general. You don't get to general if you're a nut. In 1997, General Yeremenko's public disclosure of the Russian military's experience with UFOs was met by media ridicule. However, the Russian media, in the same way the American media mocks such stories, suddenly had to reverse course. It happened when another high-ranking Russian military officer also went public. Former General Alexei Savin, now a professor at the Russian Academy of Natural Science, confirmed Yeremenko's claims, and in great detail. And there's another quote by Savin, which we're not going to get to today. But it's interesting, these guys that are right in the middle of this stuff, that are actually rubbing up against it, are talking to the people that are exposed to this. One after the other comes out and says, this is real, it's real. And what does the media do? You think they research that? No, they just mock
it, yeah.
You got to understand how dangerous this is, people. A warning is being given to you, but a lot of people aren't receiving the message because you believe that pretty face on television. And it will disappoint many people in the end. What?
Well, I was just going to bring up the whole thing about Alex Jones and the media. And, you know, there's only a few people you can listen to, and everyone is trying to shut down Alex Jones. Now, Alex Jones is hard to listen to. You know, he's all over the place, you know. But he is the only one of the only ones, the Alex Jones types, that are coming out with a different narrative than everybody in the media. You know, you've got a few people, you know, like look at the thing that happened to Hannity. Hannity, another guy who really cares. If you guys know the story of Hannity,
a little
with
bit,
this Cohen,
because he knows the lawyer of Trump.
Yeah, my argument is, you know, I don't care if he's lovers with this lawyer. You know what I mean?
Matters not.
It matters not. The whole thing is the FBI, the overstepping the bounds, just like they did with Manafort, just like they've done throughout. I mean, look at Ruby Ridge. Look at, you know, Branch Davidians, all this kind of stuff. This, if people can't see, this is another tie into that Nazi Germany, 1930, the Gestapo tactics that they're using to go after all these people that aren't following the government-led media.
Yeah, the latest, and this one stood out to me because, so a lawsuit's being filed against Alex Jones because of what he's been saying and has said about the events at Sandy Hook.
What they
Saying
claim he said at Sandy Hook.
Well, whatever.
Right.
He's done a lot on Sandy Hook.
Mm-hmm.
But so have a lot of other people
Absolutely.
with close to his viewership, actually. How come they're not suing them? Why are they just going after Alex Jones?
Because he's reaching too many people, and he's
But other people reach a lot of people, too. Millions, actually, with the same exact stuff. Showing the same videos, showing the same footage.
Hey, they
the
could
same
sue us, 'cause
exactly.
I think Sandy Hook was a total fabrication. I don't even think there was a dead body in the building. Wasn't even a school. It was dressed up to look like a school.
And these are the things that they're bringing up in the lawsuit that he said, and that's what they're basing the lawsuit on. Is that $1 million in damages because this. So
Sandy Hook was the one where
Damages to who?
the families
to
that are grieving.
the supposed parent. I would love
So
to
the
get that
grieving-
family
the
in a
grieving
trial because I'd like to
families are
find
suing
out
Alex
about.
Jones.
Yeah, I'd like to find out what
Well,
their.
we'll see where this lawsuit goes. It'll
Well, they-
probably get settled out of court. And
this
that'll be done.
Posan, who is one of the parents, has already sued. I think one of the investigators of Sandy Hook, and when it came time for trial, when he had to appear, answer questions, he didn't show up.
Oh,
I was going to say the most of the benefit of the lawsuit story has already happened.
Yeah,
Because you hear,
right.
he's getting sued. Oh, Alex Jones. But you're right. They won't show up. They can't defend it because they really aren't parents of people that died at the end of the day. They're paid. For Sandy Hook, and I'm deferring to my sister on this one because she was not a conspiracy theorist. I was a little frustrated with her. You guys know the story. 2 days before Christmas break, I'm like, 9/11 wasn't the only thing. If you want, look into Sandy Hook. Okay, goodbye, click. I was very frustrated with her because she just wasn't getting it. She walks through the door 2 days later, and she's like, oh, my God, Dave, Sandy Hook was a total fabrication.
Mm-hmm.
And she now is the Sandy Hook expert in the house. Like, I really don't know much about it.
Well, the one thing that gets me, I'll say, I don't know if anyone died or not. I wasn't there.
yeah. I
okay.
don't know either.
I don't know. Could be, maybe not. Point is, has anyone, and I've looked, has anyone seen any photo or any video of a parent with an actual tear? Okay.
No.
Well, this
You
is true
can't
for a
find
lot of these events.
Well, absolutely.
You know,
You talk about Sandy Hook, you talk about this thing, Parkland in Florida, you talk about, the way these people act, and, the first thing that comes out is someone under stress that goes through this, they all act, have different actions, which is true, but you still go through those, the stages of death.
well, you're not doing coherent media interviews within 12 hours.
Well, 12 hours, right.
And-
Absolutely.
I mean,
No
come
way.
on.
I wouldn't be
There's-
doing coherent media interviews within 12 months.
I would probably
Yeah.
never do one
And that
for a
argument
very
falls
long time.
that argument falls apart that if this one can and that one can't and this one can and but they're all acting the same way. So everyone's different, but they're all
Again,
the same.
and what's a little bit frightening about this whole thing is that they're being sued for questioning.
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
Who cares if they question it?
who's going why
I mean, that's the
why
message
are we-
that's out. Is,
Right,
Oh,
exactly.
you're going to speak against the
Then you're gonna
common
get sued.
story, then,
Right.
you'll get... And suing is such
It'll
a...
put you in. It'll bankrupt you.
Everyone says sue, I'm going to sue you, sue... But at the end of the day, lawsuits... They rarely ever produce the truth of anything.
No, they don't, and it seems like the main purpose is like you said earlier, is to financially affect somebody or the court of popular opinion.
Right,
Those
they're
are the two-
damaging his reputation, and probably the reason why they picked Alex Jones is because he just got slung, dragged through the mud on his divorce thing, saying, "Well, that's a persona. I don't really believe all that stuff. That's what my, So they probably got him because they're kicking him because he's down. So why not finish him off, and then it'll make the next guy easier?
Well, and look at us, right? We have a show. Other people have shows.
Yeah.
When you sit down for a staff meeting, we're like, look, dude, we can't. Let's just not talk about Sandy Hook because look at what's happening here.
Absolutely.
We don't want to get lawyers calling, so let's just talk about sports or whatever, and then they win.
That's right.
Now, whether it happened or not, whatever. It's another show. But questioning it, why can't he question it? Even if it's insensitive. I mean,
Well, that's one of the parallels between the USA and Nazi Germany, because in Nazi Germany in the 1930s, Everything was hunky-dory. The Nazis were in business beginning as early as the 20s. They got to power in, I think, 1932. I mean, now full power. They had power before because Goering had like 100 votes in the German parliament or whatever it was. But they got full power in 33, 32. And immediately, like, they started curbing what people said, what they thought. They started getting neighbors, turning in neighbors.
And a minister of propaganda.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like you need that.
Oh.
Yeah.
It
They
almost
control-
helped Hitler take over the world.
Uh-huh.
He came
Almost.
2 or 3 military idiotic blunders away from us being speaking German right now. He literally that close. I know it doesn't seem like it, but they were close. And the stuff I've learned about Germany in the last 2 weeks. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff about Germany in that time.
I've always been fascinated by military history, so I already had a decent understanding of it anyway, but now to get in and to hear what was really going on behind the scenes in Germany, we don't even know half the story. Germany lost the war, but I am sticking to my comment that the Nazis did not lose the war.
And here's another one that I believe is that Hitler was not really in charge.
Oh, I absolutely agree with you on that. He's the face of evil for humanity, but more evil than Hitler were the people hiding behind Hitler who financed him.
Financed him and pulled the strings.
Yep.
And that's what it was. The only way Hitler had there was no magic. He wasn't a great businessman or an economist. He simply had people willing to open up all needed currency. All needed money was his. So he just started investing in the... I mean, he turned a 27 million person country. They got him to the brink of world domination. And that was a practice run. Like 1938 was a practice run for Orson Welles for what's coming. Like the Oklahoma bombing was a run-up to 9/11, which is a run-up for something. And they do. It's not unheard of that the Rockefeller Foundation is the one financing this guy's research on how the populace reacted to this alien thing.
You know, speaking of Oklahoma, did you realize or did you know that McVeigh was actually one of the protesters at the Branch Davidian or debacle?
That wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean,
I saw him there holding a sign on the documentary.
he would have been
was just
used
a
by
patsy.
he would have been used by the FBI or the CIA, whoever it was pulling the strings at that time.
I
Just
watched
like,
a documentary on it, and they're like, "And here's Tim McVeigh."
here's
Wow.
here's look at Oswald. You had Oswald in New Orleans passing out communist papers about Cuba to the public, which was very against that at that point.
Yeah.
And he's out filmed. They got him filmed, passing out all that stuff. So these people are used, and they become a patsy. Timothy McVeigh, I believe, was a patsy. I don't believe he's.
Yeah, I agree.
That was set up. There's one guy that didn't.
Bill Cooper did a show on Timothy McVeigh before. Think about this. Before the Oklahoma bombing.
You're kidding.
No. Timothy McVeigh came with another man up to Bill Cooper's property, and they wanted to do something with Bill Cooper. Bill Cooper was aware of something. He kept them at a distance on his radio on this one particular broadcast, and he had thousands of them, so don't ask me which one it was. But you can find it. They're out there. And he said Timothy McVeigh was definitely, the second in charge. This other guy was obviously the leader. Mm-hmm. And Cooper also had said that Timothy McVeigh back then, this is in the 90s, early 90s, already had an implant, and the CIA or whoever was tracking already knew where he was at all times.
Wow.
And that's 20-some years ago that was already happening. He had a chip in him.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Unfortunately, we have run out of time for today. We got about enough time for Dave to sign off.
Not that I had a chance anyway.
All right, let's do one more question super fast for 5-point bonus. You guys ready?
Ready.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
Here's the quote.
10 points. Right?
You should have had a bigger lead. As president, I would work toward international creation of a new world order. Bill Clinton, Nelson Rockefeller, LBJ, Obama.
Who's up?
Who wants to?
Obama.
Clinton.
If no one gets this right, you guys are buying me drinks. If someone gets
Okay,
this
so
right,
we got Obama, Clinton, LBJ,
and Nelson Rockefeller.
or Rockefeller. I'll go with Rockefeller.
Oh, Obama. I gotta go Obama.
I already said Clinton.
Rockefeller. Surprise, surprise. A Rockefeller wanting a new world order? What? Are you crazy?
How many
He
points
wasn't
was
a
that worth?
president.
How many
Wait a
points?
minute. Wait a minute.
2.
Let's add that up.
3.
The winner
4.
of today's
I think the IRS
Close
will probably
game.
be outside right now.
That's crap.
Take
Yep,
it?
yep. He
That's
took it by one.
crap.
He didn't. Don't worry, Howard. You won.
That's
You won.
crap. I don't even care about the money. I just want to win.
I just
You
have
know, you
Dave
guys.
said I just have to share it with him after the show.
Wow.
Howard is the victor today. You
Yeah.
rocked it, dude. You were hitting
I
it
was-
from all over the court.
It's almost like
it's
Congratulate-
my- it's
you were
my,
on fire.
It's my mother's birthday, and so there had to be some
She has
divine
the same birthday
inspiration.
as Lily.
Yes, I did not
Do
realize.
you think
that
it'll be
until
like
today.
that next year too?
If we do it on the 19th.
They'll still have the same birthday next year.
Yeah, they'll still have the same birthday.
So every
Let's
year.
have some cocktail. Will you get us out of here so we can go have
Yeah,
a
let's go.
cocktail?
Okay, so this has been Down the Rabbit Hole, and we will see you next week.